Hello, everyone. One of our themes in this quarter is employee engagement. And how do we make sure that we are engaged and that the members of our team are engaged? And this took me back to a job that I had many years ago. I'm working in a very large corporate. My boss is the head of this division, okay, that I'm working in. And we used to get together on a regular basis, once a quarter or so, the whole department. And this was many thousands of people, okay? And he would talk about the things that were important to him and also were important to the firm. And he would come up with all kinds of stuff, that nothing you could argue with, right? Very high level strategic outcomes, lots of things that had to do with the values of the company and how it was that we were working with clients. And everybody walked out of those meetings thinking, yep, he knows what he's talking about. He's clearly got the best interests of our clients and of the organization in mind. Very, very bright guy. So he expressed himself very well. But where it all started to fall apart, and I found this as I would talk to my team, was we had a very hard time sometimes drawing a line between the things that we were doing day to day and the things that he was talking about that were important. These big strategic outcomes and these big, things about the purpose of the organization. And it got me thinking about one of my favorite bits, really, of the getting things done methodology. One of the practices that bridges that gap, right? And for those of you that know GTD, or maybe you've been to one of our seminars, or maybe you've been coached, what I'm going to make reference to here is the model that we call the Horizons of Focus. And the Horizons of Focus are it's a series of levels, and each level, down at the bottom level of this model, you've got the things that are your tactical commitments, right? The meetings you got to go to, the conversation topics you have for the boss, the things that you need to do in some sort of internal system, the stuff that you need to post to some social media. Those are all the things that you do day to day. Okay, and that's down at the bottom level. And then as you make your way up in this model, you get longer term and you get more strategic, right? So that up at the very top level, we have what we call purpose and principles. And that's where you get into, why am I here, right? Why am I on the planet, right? What if I'm living my life on purpose? What does that mean? And you can ask these same questions about organizations, right? So what's the purpose of the organization? Why do we exist? But it's the intermediate steps in that model. So between the really tactical stuff down at the bottom and the very, very high level sort of purpose and principle stuff at the top level, where as we go up the model, we get more strategic and we get longer term, in a nutshell. And so what this means then is by working between the levels of the model, right, what you can do is you can draw a line. So for example, right, up at what we call Horizon 3, we have what we call goals, and that we use the word goals simply to mean an outcome that you're going to get done, not this year, maybe not the next 12 months, but in the 12 months after that, right? So it's a little bit of a longer term, right, medium term, let's say, outcome. Now, once you're clear with one of those, right, what's my goal? It could be something personal, could be something for the team. Then a great and very helpful question is, okay, in order to achieve that by the end of 2026, I'm saying this here roughly halfway through 2025, what would I need to get done in the next 12 months? In other words, what's my project? What's the short-term outcome, which I achieved it, would lead to that goal, to that larger outcome? And once I've gotten clear what my project is, of course, a really helpful question is, what's my next action? right? What's the very next thing that I need to do to move toward that project? And so what this model gives us is the ability to, by linking between those various levels, we solve what is for a lot of organizations a big challenge, which is organizational alignment, right? Am I, in the work that I'm doing, am I supporting the outcomes that are important, not just to me, but to the organization? So if you're struggling with some of the same sorts of things, then I think a really interesting experiment might be, and again, do this for yourself or do it with your team. Ask yourself, start with some big strategic goal, right, that the organization has. And ask yourself the question, okay, in order to achieve that, what do I individually need to do, right? And you can have that conversation again, have it with your team. Here's this outcome that we as a department need to achieve. What are each of you going to do to lead toward that? And then again, maybe in your own time, what's my next action? What do I need to do in order to achieve that project, which is leading toward that larger organizational goal? And this brings me back to the theme of engagement, because what I found in that role that I had all those years ago was ultimately my engagement came from believing that the things I was doing day to day were identifiably leading toward outcomes that were important for the organization. Yes, absolutely. And therefore, I had the sense that, hey, this is important work that I need to be doing. So I hope that was helpful. If you do go through the process of having those conversations with yourself or with your team, and you'd like to be in touch, please do let me know. I'd be very happy to hear from you how that went. Meanwhile, if you'd like to hear some more from us about when we post more of these video blogs, please do like and subscribe, and let us know if there's anything else that you'd like us to be talking about in the various forms of output that we're creating. Hope that was helpful, and we'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.